duck online. Whoops, sorry. The light. I don't have very good lighting. I think a lot of the live streamers use like ring lights, but I don't have a ring light. I'm still live. Whoops, I don't know where. Oh, there we go. I just turned messages on. Usually I have a slightly different message sort of container thing down there, but I don't tonight. I don't. So yeah. But I finished work, so thank you. If anyone's tuning in and you were on this afternoon stream, I got off work tonight. I went and said hi to a couple friends, couple arch enemies on YouTube and stuff like that. Nothing too serious, but just did the thing. Some people do the thing, so I went and did the thing, said hi to some people, and yeah. Let's see. I'm going to set up a poll and stuff like that too. Let's see. Cool. I just launched a poll and stuff, but yeah, I wanted to, I don't know, whatever you guys want to talk about. I did a little research. I caught up on a very sad story, the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping stuff. And yeah, Trump, I watched his press conference. I watched all of his Trump RX press conference. And so that's announced. I think like a lot of people, I sort of understand what Trump RX is. He wants to lower your prescription costs. That makes sense, sort of. But yeah, in the big scheme of things, who knows? What's 808? I think 808s are the old Korg machines, right? So they're beats. 808s are like beat making machines. Hi. I can Google that and check it real quick. Bam. Microphone in view. That's my 808. That's my 808, folks. I got the microphone. But let's see. Korg 808. Oh, it's a Roland. The famous 808 refers to the Roland TR-808 drum machine. Korg doesn't make it. Korg offers a device called a Poly 800 MK2 vintage 8-voice synthesizer, and 808-style kick-bass sounds can be created using monologue. Cool. Yeah, so now we know that. But one of Kanye's old albums, he released this for me when I was in college. It was like a millennial album, and it was called 808s and Heartbreaks. But yeah, right now Nicki Minaj is in the news for posting some what sounds like Christian conspiracy theories. She came out and basically smack talked Don Lemon, said that he's living in sin because he's gay. And this is after she encouraged Trump to go bomb and kill Nigerians to protect Christians. So all kinds of crazy stuff on that side of the internet, that side of the media. But yeah, this is a politics channel. So typically I discuss current events, sometimes longer standing, like stuff like theory. And so when people ask like, well, how do you know what you're saying now? Or how do you know what you know? I try to usually go through and talk about that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think the culture, like just kind of in the zeitgeist, what Nicki Minaj is talking about, we don't really know everything that she's saying. But we know she's in Britain. We know she's living with a bunch of other sort of, right now, far-right nationalism is very accepted. I think normally your career would be done. I just saw, I forgot where it was maybe Iowa or West Virginia. There was just some politician who got kicked out of Congress for some comments they made. And someone in Arizona actually resigned after like what seemed like a very sort of harmless, I mean, it wasn't a good event, but a harmless event. when ICE raided this restaurant called Zips in Arizona. It's like a sports grill, sports bar. And so to me, that's the context for Nicki Minaj's comments, is that like, yeah, normally we would just like kind of beat these stories out of the news. And I don't think it's right to like demonize a person, but I also don't think that, yeah, if your people listen to you and believe you, then your words have meaning and consequences, right? The consequence of your words is people understand them and respond. And so I was just kind of poking fun at Nicki Minaj a little bit, but yeah, the main thing I still wanted to talk about, the US and Iran war that is brewing, not in sort of like a, if it bleeds, it leads kind of style. But yeah, what's so scary about this is that, when we hear that the US and Iran have engaged in direct talks, this is already really far down the pipeline. A lot of people would say that we can't actually be clear what Donald Trump is meaning for us. And what's so scary is, yeah, the US has a very powerful military, but Iran itself, it's not only strong, it's very large. So there's a lot of people in the US who don't want to see any Iranians get hurt. And there's a lot of people in Iran that would be equally confused about why the United States is going to war. And these aren't just regime sympathizers, they're Iranians. What do you think about Justin Bieber performing in his boxers and socks? I don't know. Justin Bieber's a hottie, I think. He's a cutie patootie. No, I don't know. Yeah. I think Justin Bieber's pretty good. He's a talented musician. So that's my main opinion, is like, I think Taylor Swift is really talented. I think The Weeknd is really talented. I also think The Weeknd kind of looks like Trevor Noah. If you've ever seen The Daily Show. No, but Justin Bieber, he used to be a drummer. He came up drumming, so he understands music really well. And anyone who's like a good musician at one instrument kind of gets the music. And so I'm not surprised when I hear him releasing or playing new songs. I'm not surprised when I hear that they're like pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. I saw what's his name too. The other one that came into my feed was watching Post Malone play War Pigs. I think that was one of the Grammy shows. Hey, what's up, Faraz? Good to see you again. I called you Farouz. Good to see you again. And so that Grammy performance was really good. Post Malone's a good singer. He's another one of these guys that I don't think he's got like a ton of musical training, but like he was playing acoustic guitar in his house. He was better than average. And then I think when he got a shot to, you can put yourself in that situation. You're playing music on the internet, and then all of a sudden you get to work with like the best producers in Hollywood. There's artists that have been producing mainstream music for a decade. And so you're kind of wondering like, well, how do I'm not asking how I level up, but what do I do creatively here? Like, what do I do and say? How do I contribute to a song? Do I do more than just my vocals? Where do I come in? Like, these are all kind of questions that would just be running through my head personally. And so it's really cool to see Post Malone being so successful. I'm not okay, if I could talk to Post Malone, I would say like, I'm not a massive, the Post Malone brand, I'm not like a massive fan of the music and stuff like that. I used to listen to a ton of music, and just bro, when you came out, I was kind of done listening to music, but your music's really good, right? Your music's really good. It's appealing. I kind of understand it. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. You're a metal fan. Yeah. I love metal. I like metal and death step, metalcore, all that kind of stuff. Mark Bolan is still one of my musical idols that not enough Americans know about. He was a contemporary of Queen, Elton John, and Bowie. He was secretly on guitar for Tina Turner's Nutbush. I don't know who that is. Mark Bolan. Is that I always get scared to read names because I know some people troll in the comments. A guitarist, singer, songwriter. T-Rex. Oh, he was a pioneer in glam rock. That's beautiful. That's pretty cool. What's up, beautiful people? We're doing the glam rock stuff tonight. I hope you guys are feeling beautiful. If I was doing glam rock with you guys too much, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold me accountable, guys. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I did wrong, guys. Oh my God. I'm so happy I'm done with work, though. I'm working part-time right now, not getting a paycheck unless I earn a paycheck. So it was cool. Some people, Faraz was in chat earlier. We did a short stream that was a little more political than this, but we did a short stream earlier today. And so I'm just happy to be done with work now. I had a little bit of dinner. If you guys want to see straight from the fridge, my vegan meal prep. And yeah. Boy, who knows? Discover his music and thank me later. Thanks, Stu. One of my friends on YouTube knows some guy that played, I think he played with The Cure or something. He wasn't a roadie, he's a musician, right? And so he was telling us about some of both the goth and like some of the glam punk stuff. I don't know if you guys know The Darkness, but that's another one of these guys, just people, right? People stuff. But Justin Hawkins, I think Justin Hawkins is fairly well known and respected in the music scene. And part of the reason was like, when these guys release music and it comes out and it's like, well, even your dad notices, even your mom notices. One of the reasons they notice is because it's so freaking loud. It's so loud. It's so intentional. And it fits and it's just different enough, right? This is what like really good genre defying music does, is it's almost just different enough than something you are expecting to hear, something that you've heard before. And so it's really weird to think that musicians can hack your brain, but when they do it, like Justin Hawkins in The Darkness, I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of my heart. There's a chance we can make it now. The sun goes down. Like, but those guys are, whatever. Wildly talented. Yeah, The Cure and The Jam both credit Mark Bolan. The Darkness definitely would know who T-Rex were a major inspiration. Even Lady Gaga today credits T-Rex. Cool. Yeah, my favorite artists are Gojira, Barzum, Behemoth. Cool, I don't know any of them. Behemoth sounds the most familiar, but I've never heard of any of them. So we're getting blocked messages in. And to be clear about Bazoom, I condemn the guy, but I love his music. Let's see, let's check on the poll. So 33% say God approves, 33% says yeah, nah, yay, or other, and 33% say yeah because MAGA. So we don't have any MAGA trolls, any MAGA folks in here yet. No offense, MAGA trolls too, but let's just do this one because it's the title of the stream. Do you support the Trump's illegal war in Iran? Neither. Rise and grind, baby. All right, I just launched a new poll, guys. Hey, what's up, Anna? Good to see you. We've got Anna the mod here. Anna, Faraz is beating you in terms of channel loyalty. He was hanging out on 2 streams today. So anyways, I'm just saying hi, but good to see you. I'd love to go to Iran someday. A lot of people don't realize that, well, Iran is a big country, but if I remember correctly, isn't it pretty geographically diverse too? It's not like, the picture, like what happened. So this is a good way to explain this. When we went to war in Iraq and Afghanistan, the United States is what I mean when I say we. When we went to war in Iraq and Afghanistan the first time, you thought, well, Iraq's a giant desert. We get these pictures of scorpions back. Afghanistan, another giant desert. You're going to get these pictures of mountains in the snow, but that's the mountains in Afghanistan, right? So Afghanistan, giant desert. Iraq, giant desert. Um, Afghanistan in the mountains. Well, those are just mountains. And so people forget that there's so much cultural and geographical diversity. People forget that that like, what is it called? Sufi Islam. It's called like mysticism and stuff, that there are people that aren't hardline, like textual Muslims living in Iran. There's quite a few actually. And so it's just one of those weird things when I see, hey, what's up, Abe Martinez? Good to see you. U.S. military for Israel's gain. Oh, no way. No way. How do you figure there, bud? Hey, how do you figure there, bud? Yeah, but when Trump talked about Iran in his 2015 book, Great Again, we're still going to be talking about this. You know that because he got elected. So this book is so important. The reason that even if you're not a big reader, the reason that you should know about this book is because our president wrote it and published it. And you can say, well, this is just like any other president. We're allowed to criticize him. And so you should know about this book today. And the reason you should know about this book today is because our president wrote it. A plus B equals C. A plus B equals C. That's the new title of the stream. Why don't you go to war? Well, because A plus B equals C. In Iran, we have Kurds, Persians, Arabs, Turks, and Baluchis. Yeah, you guys are on the border of Baluchistan. A lot of people don't know about Baluchistan either. That's very cool. Baluchistan is this, it's supposedly, ethnically distinct, but still Muslim. And there are resistance movements. There's a lot of like local governments from what I understand and local sort of like tribal leadership. But they're like, when we say that, what I understand is Baluchistanis are interested in their own economic policies, social policies, control. And a big part of this is because in Pakistan is working more closely over time with the Chinese government. And so, it's like, okay, well, there's obviously some big political process going on. Like you have to know that. And so it's not that weird to see that, ethnically diverse people that are kind of separated from mainstream politics have some issues with that. Okay, let's see. Iraq was originally Mesopotamia. We got history guy, so Stu's the history guy in chat. Iraq was originally Mesopotamia and part of the cradle of civilization before other cultures formed beyond hunter-gatherer. It's steeped in much more diverse history than we give them credit for. Yeah, that's a cool fact, just to kind of connect that big sort of storyline. And this is healthy to do. It's maybe not too much to bite off. If you're a YouTube emoji, you're going to be like me and running around like, ooh, woo, ooh, woo, biting off these big history narratives. But yeah, it's kind of cool because we have really good evolutionary records, meaning like hundreds, thousands of skeletal remains of humans and early human ancestors. And so when we think of pre-civilization and civilization, which goes very much basically just to like yesterday, right? Even artifacts from 40,000 years ago is very recent in history relatively, even though a lot's changed. But yeah, a lot of the history that we talk about isn't just the ecology. It's also humans learning the ability to be social, to be migrational. Humans develop the ability to have more endurance. Like the old Lucy fossil has these really long dragging arms, this short neck, this thick head that's kind of front set. It's sort of set funny. Lucy's head, if you compared her to a human, she doesn't look like a human necessarily, right? She's still beautiful, but Lucy sort of appeals or looks like, this kind of heavy set thing where it's like, I don't get how as a runner you would be moving around all the time. Hey, what's up, Mill? Good to see you. Yeah, ask me questions. You can call me Duck, Nate, Nathan, whatever you guys want. Waffle a little bit. Nah, we're done waffling, bro. Let's waffle on a little bit. Yeah, no, I'm happy to waffle about some stuff if you guys want to. If you're gonna bring up MAGA stuff, if you're gonna bring up Nicki Minaj and say her music's good, I'm totally out. I'm totally out of that conversation. All of America is a hangover from the chains of British colonialism, of white nationalism, both Brits and the US. Oh, come on, man. So the reason I wouldn't say that is, yeah. Uh, so so it's really weird, right? Because you used to either get information from your priest or your manager, or your wife, or or your boss, right? This is where you would go to learn about the world, or your land, right? You would just actually walk around your farm in the United States, or your city, right? It was very informative. If you guys can see what's his face, what Stu Pat said, he might know more. He probably does know more than me about this, but like it used to be a big deal, like to have like flapper chicks for the first time or something. You'd have these new like anti-natalist movements and stuff like this. Women not wanting to have kids. And so it's kind of weird because when you say it's empire and hegemony, the side that's different in the United States is that, well, as true as that is, and as we can see, like maybe the most egregious injustices were just because of slavery. Clear everything else off the plate. If you're not doing indigenous genocide, and you're not doing slavery, which is just genocide, then what you actually get back is that no, it's not a monopoly. It's not a cultural monopoly. It's not a hegemony. It isn't not just nationalism. It's just what free people do when you're allowed to be this free. When you're this free, this is what you get back. And that's the most important political narrative to Americans too. The most important narrative. Hey, what's up, Frequency Forge and Joe Martin? Slavery does not equal genocide. How do you figure? There? It seems like a people are being, if you define a people partially by their free ability to procreate, build a family, educate, build a life, and then repeat that process, I think slavery and genocide are exactly the same thing. Especially happy Black Mystery Month, folks. Happy Black Mystery Month. Happy Black History Month, everyone. Slavery is definitely genocide because slavery and genocide are just two different things. Cool. Yeah. So, okay, if you define it however you want, then it's whatever you want. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm describing it, right? I'm not trying to define genocide here, but when let's say we agree on a definition of genocide, you still get to describe that thing that you said. And if you're being honest about it, and I'm not trying to trick you, right? I'm not trying to tell you don't think about, I'm trying to tell you to think more about it, right? So that's my political bias, is that slavery is worth thinking about. Genocide is also worth thinking about in the right contexts, right? Genocide has context, and you don't have to be an extremist to manage this very violent, large concept, this sort of social skill thing that's happening here. I love Black History Month, good litmus test for finding out who's racist and who's reasonable. Yeah, which one am I? Yeah, Anna, you can keep me in check if I'm racist or unreasonable. You can bring me my vape pen or some like Earl Grey tea or whatever. And speaking of, guys, speaking of not being totally whatever. Speaking of not being a racist or trying not to. Hey, what's up, Jess? Good to see you. Every time every time P-Mert is implicated in the Epstein files, he tries to start a conflict. Yeah, I wish you guys had seen this one. So, Jess, well, who was it in the UK? Carl Steimer. What is the guy named? Peter Mendelsohn, I think. I'm trying to find the story. But Carl Steimer, so very famous, very influential prime minister of the UK. The UK is a nuclear power. And so you can imagine the guy with the biggest swinging hockey stick in the room or something. He's very influential. The guy, the UK is the guy everybody wants to meet at the party, and they don't know why until after they talk to them. So Carl Steimer is very influential, and he actually appointed a former Epstein colleague called Peter Mendelsohn. And I don't know that much about this guy, but uh, I don't know if he's associated with like Palantir, which is Peter Thiel's company. And so, anyways, this guy in the UK and British in UK, he fired him. He said, "I didn't know," and he released a statement. He said, "To the victims, I'm so sorry. I appointed Peter Mendelsohn. I didn't know that you were going to have to deal with this again. You're going to see it. You're going to see this all over the news, right?" You know, this would be like Donald Trump saying, "I'm so sorry to people who have accidentally shot their dog. I didn't know that once I appointed Kristi Noem, you're going to have to see Kristi Noem again." Or, "I'm so sorry to women that have been essayed. When I appointed Pete Hegseth, I didn't know you'd have to see this again." It's Keir Starmer. He's a prime minister, I think, right? Tell me that too, Natalie, please. Tell me that too in the way that you can. Yeah, we're going to do a little narcissism on the channel tonight, guys. Hockey sticks, it's more like BD's big swinging. Under the technical definition of genocide, one canon should act the act of slavery is in fact genocide. Yeah. Nate, you're a terrible actor. I would be cool to meet the real guy behind the mask. I get you're not allowed to during the contract. I don't know totally what that's about. I can sing Frozen for you guys sometime. Yeah, if you guys manage to pay my rent or pay for food. No, I'm just kidding. I grifted once on this morning stream. I grifted at the end of it. So I'm not going to grift from you guys, but I don't know why you're talking about me being a bad actor. A terrible actor. Yeah, you know, I think people's intentions for like the non-normie stuff, a little bit. I like being here. I like finding the edges of my screen, like a very, very dumb person. And I like being able to sing for you guys. I like being able to hang out here. I like not having to try to do something too much that's going to keep you guys here if you don't want to be here. If there's something more productive you could be doing, not my job to decide that for you. But yeah, I'm sorry if I'm a bad actor. I'd rather talk about genocide or how to pronounce per Starmer. All that, whatever, bougie, important stuff. Maybe one day we will meet the real guy. I'm not a real person. I'm not a real boy. I'm telling you, if you have a shovel, hey, Mill, 9999999, dial 999, okay? Mill, if you have a shovel, start digging, bro. Start digging, buddy. Here I am. Start digging. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Keir is disliked in the UK. He has about 13% approval rating. Yeah, that's not very good. You think they're going to do a no confidence vote? What would actually spur the thing or the decision to do a no confidence vote in the UK right now? I'm not British. I know a couple British streamers, but I don't know that much about UK politics, to be totally honest. Yeah, I took a class on the EU like 15 years ago, and it was a hard class. I wasn't like a poli-sci bro. I was really nerdy about like political theory and philosophy. And so I loved it. I would put on Cage the Elephant, and I had this old car that the AC was broken. And so in the cold months of winter in Arizona, when it's like, 28 degrees and I had to go to class at like 7 a.m. or something, or like the hot summer days when it's 110, I was driving this car with no air conditioning. Woe is me. But I would put on my jacket and go to class, whatever. And I would be really excited for the philosophy classes. But when we learned about the EU and just that period in like the 90s, that kind of period in sort of mainland Europe, as well as the British Isles, I didn't retain that much. I remember a lot about approving new countries into the EU, and that's been studied a lot, how that works. And just that sort of the big jump into just totally accepting like a people movement, economic policies, all that kind of stuff. Clinton's ain't got away with the child sacrifice. Yeah, Clinton's, I haven't seen if Hillary, I haven't seen if Hillary put out a statement or a response to Bill being listed. There's images of Bill Clinton on Epstein Island. I saw Melinda French Gates posted about Bill going to the island, that she was heartbroken and disgusted. I think she said something to that effect. And yeah, in general, I think people believe all of the wrongdoers need to be held accountable. And yeah, people like Clinton that got, a little knocky knock under the table, I think he's included in that camp. Destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. Yeah, slavery, so that's arguable that colonialism, this is how this actually works is if you're asking if a colonial regime is committing genocide, well, it turns out that you can have a colonial government and not do genocide. But if you start, it's going to turn out to be the case that when you start conducting unilateral violence, or perhaps you're acting in a way that is just in line with the mainstream power producing group in that country, and it's producing violence, a lot of people are going to classify that as genocide, even if it doesn't look that way to everyone. Someone might say for political reasons or cultural reasons, you support that form of violence. It sounds so weird to say, but people are screwed in the head, guys. It's 2026. I remember being heartbroken about hearing about the Afghanistan and Iraq war and then learning more about it because I was in high school at that time. Really bad stuff. And so bad actors, when we say there's these bad actors that are killing civilians, or they're totally making it impossible to carry on a religious or just a biological tradition, such as having a family in a normal sense, that's all authoritarianism, and it can easily be genocide. I don't think Keir is going anywhere. Oh, this is the no confidence vote. No, they will not. If anything, he might step down. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the UK wants to do. What I'm mostly interested in right now is I saw France is passing social media laws. And so I'm very interested in whether or not those social media laws are going to stick, if anyone else is going to adopt them in the EU. And so seeing EU nations operate independently is sort of this thing people are used to, but we're not totally used to seeing it on these big social scale things. They're kind of undefined, actually. And so it's kind of cool to see someone stepping up and trying to do something. Who knows if this is big government trying to regulate your life, but when you see conspiracy theorists going from one conspiracy theory to another in an attempt to subvert political process, to influence political outcomes, in a way which is oftentimes reprehensible or even incongruent, it's well, I understand why in Europe you're trying to sort of manage this. I don't necessarily totally agree with the way that you're doing it. But that also doesn't mean that nationalism means you can just do whatever you want. You're such a warrior. You're such a strong guy. Whatever. Oh, we got Del Rey in chat. What's up? If Demon Rats Democrats, happy Black History Month, by the way, wanted peace, there would be peace. If Republicans wanted war, there would be no Democrats. Yeah. Are we doing some slam poetry? I pick up my phone. Those rings, they go to my wife, my doctor, my work, my job. Those rings go to the people I wish I had and wish I had. And when I had what I wish I had, I didn't have a hat. I didn't have to put my hat down. So all I hope for now is to hear a ring, a ring. No whispers, just a ring. I don't talk about private life on the internet. Lame duck, the dead pelican. Hey, what's up, Walter Real? Is it actually real? If it's real, it's real. If it's real, if it's really something you just didn't happen to work on, then that's also another form of realness, as it turns out. If your neck can pick up your whole body like mine can, then it's real. If you can't do that, then it's not real. Because you're not married. But okay, yeah, I love that answer. I love that answer, either because it's true or it's true enough for you, for whatever it is you're trying to do. Yeah, I'm not hiding. Cool. Yeah. Hey, peace be to you, Walter Real, S8F. Shout out all my YouTube friends, family, enemies, those who wouldn't claim me. Shout out to you guys. No, it's not even a stretch to say slavery is a genocide, even by the technical definition of destruction of a group. It's not always been death. Sometimes it's stripped of cultural significance for the group. Yeah, that seems to make a lot of sense. That seems to make a lot of sense. You know how Trump says some stuff so much that it loses its shock value and becomes normalized? You think he's doing that with the idea of war with Iran? Yeah, absolutely. Donald Trump, I mean, let me see if I can find it. We're going to play around with you guys a little bit here. Donald Trump's telling you about how much it costs. You guys, it costs $100,000 to run an ad in the New York Times. Elect me for president. Costs $100,000 to run probably a very good ad in the New York Times. A decent one, right? Because you'd think that that's not that expensive. But it's not that much if in LA, you're going to spend $24 million on a billboard. And so you think, well, okay, I could just do the same thing and be next to all the major news happening in the nation in just a fairly neutral everyday newspaper. However, I have a unique perspective on what actions we should take. While ISIS is our most violent enemy, they ended up with oil in Iraq and Syria that we should have taken. So all the way back in 2015, Donald Trump is saying action, take, oil, energy. They ended up, how did they come about this? When and how did they do that, right? This is how ordinary people, this is how all of us, without placing blame, think about our day-to-day. But this is also manipulative because saying, well, okay, ISIS pirates a lot of oil. They're going to be sanctioned by everyone, right? I would even be surprised if China is like, yeah, let's cut a deal with ISIS. Maybe they have a different picture of it. But like that would be like competition with the US, right? China doesn't see ISIS as like a long-term economic partner, most likely, right? Or would not be a strategic priority for them. You know, saying, who are these people that are living in this place and what do they have to do with us? What do they have to do with us if we're deeply competing or something? I don't actually know. I have no idea. We need Joe Biden back or Kamala. Heck yeah, Maxwell. That's my dog stuff, right? Yeah. I found a bunch of streamers recently that I think are not being too extreme. They're not too out there. They're just saying, yeah, Kamala is fine. You know, when we see someone like Mayor Pete go on the news, like if you're bored, listen to that over Breitbart. Like that is a better source of information. It is not necessarily your political opinion, but it's a better source of information. And so in terms of Donald Trump and his rhetoric, so this is Donald Trump. So this is how twisted Donald Trump's brain is. He says in one hand, these are back-to-back pages in this book. Donald Trump says, our brilliant strategists had to twist up intelligence reports and drum up reasons for an invasion. We targeted Saddam Hussein's alleged weapons of mass destruction as a justification. And then on the very next page, he says, well, this was oil we should have taken. And so suddenly Saddam Hussein is not someone that just exists on the international stage like a lot of people. He's not some neutral actor who's the president. He's the president of Iraq. You know, he's the president and foreign minister of Iraq in this case. You know, that's not who Saddam Hussein is. Saddam Hussein is either a good guy or a victim of the Democrats and Republicans, the establishment, which maybe he was in reality, but that doesn't mean that's what Donald Trump was talking about. Or maybe Saddam Hussein was doing something else. And so in back-to-back pages, he says, we should have stolen their oil, but we totally made up reasons to go bomb this guy. We just didn't do it the right way. You didn't do it the right way. Hey, what's up, Walter Real? Pelican Brief. Where are the bodies? Where are the documents? Give me the documents, Tony. Where are the documents? Where are the documents? Are we doing that? Yeah, Tony, I don't know, but that kind of talking scares people. It's scary people scaring people. I don't know why you would pretend to be like that if that isn't exactly what we're talking about. Dehumanizing a group destroys their humanity. Are you unfamiliar with feminims? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Dehumanizing is the worst way to me to take a person out of context. If you take anyone out of their specific context, you're not going to get a lot back from them. How can you say I was defending Muslims integrating to the US earlier by saying, hey, think about this. Think about this. Muhammad Ali, he had a different name, Cassius Clay. And Lou Alcindor eventually became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. These two guys converted to Islam. They changed their name. They joined very popular, progressive, sort of hippie, anarchy associated, but not in like an organized sense, movements to stop this massive war. That's why Muhammad Ali converted, was because he was a conscientious objector to this war. And so to say that, well, these people discovered Islam in the United States, this should just be evidence to show that anyone can be an American. It's not that special of a thing. The people that never make it in the United States, they have nothing in common with us? Do they have more in common with each other? But people in the United States, actual Americans, also don't make it in the United States. So I'm not asking you to cry about it, but before you go out pushing your random BS, really truly cruel opinions and ideas on other people, consider that. Please consider people like me, right? Why don't they just drain oil reserves? I'm skipping down just a little bit. Hello, good to see you everyone as well. Hey, what's up, Sherry Ham? Good to see you too. I don't know if you're I don't know if you're making fun of people that like prospect off YouTube or whatever, but yeah, I agree with Anna in this case. Please don't do that. Yeah, everyone's welcome here. We're a big fan of globalization, meaning just this is what people do when they're free to do so. Globalization all around the world, brush it up a little bit. Globalization, money in, money out, folks. Money in, money out. Good stuff in, good stuff out. Be a little Buddhist with me for a second. Be a little Buddhist with me, guys. Don Lemon introduced us to his husband live on stream the other day. Don Lemon was arrested for covering a protest. He's a journalist. Oh my God. Oh my God. And so there's always someone who's worse off than you. There's always someone who's worse off than you, but there's always someone who has that first, oh my God, moment in their life because they were successful, or because they've been successful and now they've come to discover or know great pain. They've known great loss. So you knew great loss and then you became successful. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. What's working, right? That's what you're going to get out of me. Hey, what worked? What's working now? Or you were successful and you came to know great loss. You came to know great pain. Maybe you saw videos of these ICE protests. You've seen worse videos. You're seeing genocide in Sudan. You're seeing wild animals starve to death in the Sahel. You're just seeing people having this disrupted political life. You feel like it's so strange we don't know anything about, what about Uruguay or Chile? What do you know about Chile? I know about wines from Chile. And so we're big fans on our channel of globalization. I'm a big fan of getting to know a person. I'm a big fan of arguing with you or discussing something with you. But I'm not a big fan of making fun of someone. If you're doing sales and prospecting on my chat, yeah, me or Ahmad is going to delete that. We're going to delete that almost right away, right? It's going to be very fast that goes away. Yeah, and so you have to have need and you have to have budget in order to buy something. This was another interesting story. I'll just share this. So one of the failed US companies is called Enron. It was a massive scandal. If you guys remember the Enron scandal, it was a company worth tens of billions of dollars that was trading energy, so trading oil securities, secondaries, all kinds of stuff from Oregon to California to Texas. A lot in California. California was like their biggest market. It was their market that they were making billions of dollars off of like every week. Like every week they would do billions, like tens or hundreds of billions in volume and clear tens or hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. And so people saw this Enron company and were like, well, are they doing this well? Are they really doing that good? And it looked too good to be true. But when people said this, every time people said Enron is too good to be true, they would take out a baseball bat or an axe and they would go do something you would never expect. They would go do something bigger, bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until finally you are like, yes, these guys are this close to me and we're getting Enron finally. We understand the business model. We see revenue we'd never seen before. We see the CEO of this beautiful American company is talking to me like I'm a person for once in my life, right? I'm getting all of this. And so for this second, you have to realize that one of the things Enron did was go and say, well, we're going to go build nuclear power plants in India. And so what they would do is they would go around and it would be sometimes in slums, it would be in poorer states, and you would try to build a power plant. And then you found out, well, the people here sometimes don't have jobs or not enough people have jobs, or it's expensive to totally rebuild around the city to deliver. You can go do that, right? There's not an excuse to not deliver power somewhere. That's what we say in the United States. But yeah, people couldn't pay for electricity and that's it. Do you understand that? So there's not a reason if you go to the slums, you don't want to put up power lines because they can't afford it. That's why you're not doing that, right? That's why we're not doing that, because you're not going to keep this power plant working and in order and everything's going to be safer for 30 years, right? That's what we're talking about. And so Enron, one of the things we learned in a massive ways was that if people can't pay for stuff, you don't get it. But also Enron was this very stupid company that should have known this. And some people didn't see that this seemed like almost like some tongue-in-cheek sort of, I don't know, political speech from a company. The Democrat politician made a lot of money action. Yeah, as soon as the dialogue stops, the monologue starts. It's the end. Yeah, no more monologues, everyone. No monologuing in chat, and you guys can push me back. When I look ugly, when I look big ugly, small ugly, you guys tell me stop monologuing. Did I miss something exciting? Fua, hey, what's up? You are gay. I like Africa too. The African Union is doing a lot of trade and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're starting to see more integration, and this is just optimism, right? This is like a question if anyone's in that sort of African Union region. What I know about is that, like, yeah, people are bringing tech jobs and some stuff to some of the big cities, and who knows? I don't know how anything else works there. Just to be totally honest, I'm an idiot. And so, yeah, that's fine. It's fine to not know. It's fine to have a beginner mindset set to meet a person or to say, well, what are Americans like? I would say like, well, yeah, what are the wealthiest Nigerians like? Or what's the middle class in Nigeria like? I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. What's like in Kenya? Okay. So you're a 28-year-old or a 40-year-old and you just got a job at like one of these, OpenAI like talk centers or like data perfection company or whatever it is that you're doing there. The same thing. And so, like, what's different about Kenya or Nigeria than the US? Learning centers are successful. Oh, leering centers. Dinner choice. Yeah, you guys can waffle about in chat, waffle about with mods. Maxwell, I think you got a timeout from the channel for a day. And Anna, just so you know how the buttons work too, if you want to give them for whatever reason, I wasn't watching and so sorry, but if you want to give them 300 seconds, you can tag the same exact message. And if he said a slur that I didn't see or something, that's cool. But if he didn't, you can tag the same message and move it down to 300 seconds or 60 seconds or whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, you guys feel free to waffle about, have the fun environment we want. Hey, what's up, 80 IK5? They're being racist and dumb. Oh, was that like a learning center? I can do that henceforth. Cool. Well, it sounds like, okay, Maxwell, hopefully I see you in a day or whatever. And if you want to hang out and watch, I'll be in your shorts or whatever too. I mean, we're around, buddy. Man, I've gotten banned from a couple channels. I've gotten hidden. I get timed out in like far right channels. I know a lot of these people, right? Like we're friends. We engage on issues. We talk. We discuss sometimes when it's not too bad. But yeah, I understand it as well. I do get it. I get it a lot, right? Hey, what's up, Noodles? We got oodles and noodles in chat, everybody. What would you like to see America look like in 10, 20, 15 years time? Good question. Yeah. I would like to see educate. I'm very simple. I'm the easy guy. So I'd like to see education as more accessible. I'd like us to be more globalized. I think it makes sense that your kids and my kids get the chance to meet people from all over the world. And in the United States, I think it's not a return to farm life, right? Like, I'm not opposed to farmsteading and rural America. I believe rural America should be an important part of our discussion, but that's also a global discussion too. And so as your American buddy, if I'm your American buddy, if you guys get what I'm saying here, I would tell you, what I would say to you is like, yeah, ecology should be a big part of our conversations. Not just about money. It's not just about innovation. It's not just about our own hopes and dreams and thoughts and prayers. But yeah, if you are coming here from, let's say an American wants to travel to Paris, France, a person in Paris should be like, okay, hey, what is it like? What is it like in the United States where you're from? Not what you think it's like. What is it actually like where you're from? What do I go see and do when I'm there? And does this mean I go hiking? Does this mean I think about it? I care about when I pump my car with gas. And so I think America should be more inviting, embrace more cultures, embrace more people. But what's American is like, guess what? This is going to be about a couple things, and you're going to know what those are when it's your time to know those. You're not going to miss us like that. So that's what I think the world should be like, is more education, being more honest maybe about some of those hard American virtues and values. And being super inclusive, egalitarian, really embracing a lot of different ideas when we're talking about stuff like this. Like globalization is because you don't live in a diverse country. Yeah. Who knows if the United States is going to become more homogenous in the future or more heterogeneous. We are seeing already, this is a major, both geopolitical and domestic pressure, is there's places with outdated utility companies. There are small oil companies, small coal companies, small utility companies, all of this, small energy cos that haven't produced any new clean technology in a long time. Everyone will say that we're talking about it, we're investing in it, and it doesn't happen. So if you understand what that means, it means you're waiting for BP and ConocoPhillips and all these companies to say, okay, now we move the bar. Now you can go regulate something, or now here's what's next. And you're allowed to have a political opinion about that stuff too. But to your question about us being specifically heterogeneous, and I like globalization for this reason. I would challenge you to think about different places in the United States. You have New York City, you've got Los Angeles. Cory Booker was very famously, I forgot where he's from, but he very famously, I believe, as a mayor, sought a lot of federal funding to modernize their city and do stuff that hasn't really been done in the US. And so there are American politicians on both sides that want to see more of that kind of stuff. Someone like John Huntsman or Mitt Romney, right? The Mormon guys here. The Mormons might say something like, well, if you take a step back and you ask more foundationally what it is that we're able to do, or whatever, well, you see that there's a lot of different ways a mayor could do their job. And when you're trying to put it all together, when you're trying to put some stuff together, I don't think we're that homogenous. I don't think the United States is that homogenous. We are rich. We're homogenous in as much as we're rich, but that doesn't mean what most people mean by homogeny. Whatever. You can say that because this does impact you. Okay. More culture ends up in heterogeneous populations within, happens every time. When it does, there is so much crime. What happened? I'm not fully understanding, but I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Did you feed the wildlife? I have before. I would feed them the same food I would eat, not in like an a-hole way. I looked it up, but I used to buy like quinoa and millet. And I think it was millet. You can go feed millet to actual ducks. The name of my channel is Ducks Why, because I love mallards. I love real life ducks. And so when I used to buy millet, which is a cereal, I would go bring it to ducks. I am not wearing a burqa. Cool. You have a very familiar like cadence to your voice or something. Canada now has a higher crime rate than the US. Canada is cool. We need a blinding force like religion to hold the nation together. Liberal countries that don't have tend to have I don't know what that's based on. High self-delete rates, low birth rates. Yeah, Joe Martin. I mean, that's a very sweeping generalization. I think putting a little wisdom in your brain and saying, well, am I able to will out something that is, it's not like objective and rational, but, because we're all on the same team. We're all in it together, right? Isn't that true? Isn't that true, folks? We're all in it together. And so saying that you need religion is like, well, no, it's not, because when you see a state that doesn't have high religious rates, where you see different religions producing different results, those are all reasons to look at something else. This came up yesterday. China, a very random fact. So it's like the 9th century, the 6th century or something. In China, they have a concept called the Sanjiao. And the Sanjiao is the 3 ways. You have 3 different religious traditions, which is Confucianism, Taoism, Tao. So you have the Tao, you see something and you understand there's a process or a way this changes so you can describe it. And you have Buddhism, right? And so you have this society that they suddenly say, okay, well, we're going to have tests all across our country and we're going to do meritocracy. And this is really weird, because why do you see this while in places that aren't Asia, right? In places that aren't China, you have at this time, you have mass religious violence. You have people fighting, dying, struggling, battling, believing in religions, and that's basically the story for 1,300 years. For 1,300, literally for 1,000 years after China is doing merit tests, and maybe in many ways, maybe not deeply caring if you're a Taoist, a Buddhist, or a Confucianist. So you say, Joe, we need binding forces like religion. I think what you're saying is I'm a Nazi, and I think we're going to argue for religion. And so if that's true, that's true. If you're not a Nazi, that's cool. But what I hear most Nazis say is I'm a good Christian. That's not being a radical leftist. That's just saying, well, the information you gave me is horseshit. No offense. I'm specifically talking about liberal countries. You address nothing about my points. Then look at Israel. So you're saying we need religion. We need something that's not necessarily religion, but like religion, so people don't off themselves. That sounds like you're trying to brainwash someone to me. I would have a hard time. You're going to have to clarify your speech because I can't, you know, yeah. And so, yeah. Okay. And so I would love to understand what you actually believe. And does this relate to anything like I would think having access to opportunities like education, having access to food and housing, and also feeling connected. I would think feeling connected to your environment and to your community, feeling accepted however you are, I would think all those things are the most important things that you could do sometime. At some point in your life, you're able to talk about it. Yeah. And so for me, because I'm neurodivergent, that means like, hey, I can go talk about books I read or technology on the internet, right? I can go to a bookstore. I was thinking about when I get my first paycheck or when I grift my first dollar from you guys, I want to go to this bookstore in Tempe, Arizona called Changing Hands. I want to go buy a book. I want to go buy like 2 or 3 books. And I literally can't afford like $6 right now, which is cool because this is awesome. But that's what I want to go do. And so when you think about like just what I would say is a social critique of why people are happy in a society or don't X themselves, I don't think of Christianity. I don't think of Islam. Even in a Christian country, I don't think of Christianity because I would just bet the data doesn't go in your favor that way, Joe. But that's what I'm thinking. So feeling connected would be done by a binding force. Maybe. I don't know. You might be beyond me on all this. You might be beyond me. Hey, from Hungary. I don't know why I use that voice. Hey, binary void 0101. Okay. Hello. Hello from Hungary, binary void. We have a computer fan or a computer scientist, a programmer. So what's up, binary void? So good to see you. Binary void, everybody. Probably the dopest PFP and username that I've ever seen. You are very pretty. You are very pretty. I'm not that pretty. You can see I'm all over the place, but you are. How does it not go in my favor? I can tell you how it does go in your common enemy and the happier than most other people. Most other people, yeah. How does it not go in your favor? I agree with you, Joe. Look, I think it's great. I think if you're a Christian, you should be able to have Christian television networks. You have Christian internets and websites. But I also think that if you're a Christian, you get to enjoy the same cultural artifacts, the same movies. You travel to the same places eventually, right? It's not just that you travel, but you're looking to buy or rent in the same places as everyone else. And so cool, have religion, make religion better. But saying that this isn't going to go in my way, I don't agree with that personally. I don't agree with it that much. I might have messed something up here or sometime in the past where I'm not totally understanding you, but I'm trying here. Sounds like he's saying people need deeper reasons and connection. Connections. Yeah. Sharing is so crazy. I have 2 hawks. Yes. They come with passports. And 3 crows. I remember when your mom bought you finches as a kid. Well, their name. Aw, Sherry. I remember reading, what was that book with Atticus Finch? Was that To Kill a Mockingbird? I remember those books that it was so crazy when I read these books in ninth grade versus like 11th grade. They look so different. And then this is mine. This is how sad I am. I've been showing the same novel. Since I started streaming a year ago. I have Of Mice and Men. John Steinbeck, this is a very mature book. If there's any older people in the audience, yeah, I mean, these are cool to just pick up or go to the library once. I don't know, whatever. But be a damn good thing if you was, George said viciously. Save everybody a hell of a lot of trouble. Well, you said I was your cousin, George. Well, that was a lie. And I am glad it was. If I was a relative of yours, I'd X myself. He stopped suddenly, stepped to open the front door and peered out. Say, what the hell you doing listening? Say, what the hell you doing listening? So very rich writing. But I forgot why I was talking about books. But yeah, because Atticus Finch, I just made that random association. So writing, reading, all that kind of stuff, that's also cultural, right? If you're a Christian, you can read John Steinbeck too. If you're an atheist like myself, you can also read John Steinbeck. What up, Bird? I hope you get a good day, buddy. Yeah, I do got work tomorrow. See you at 80 IK5, whatever you got going on tomorrow. I hope you doing good as well. Congress would much rather let the president do the hard things and take all the blame than assert its own identity. Yeah, what do you mean by Congress totally? If I don't, let's say I don't understand what you're talking about totally. Yeah, Congress's authority is to do things like order investigations, right? I believe the Congress is allowed to order, not like, right? I believe they're allowed to check on their budgets, right? And check on their policies. And they're allowed to check on previous congressional stuff, right? I thought that Congress people could file documents with the courts, and they should have it some reasonable way aligned to the president's desk, I would think, or through the vice president. Doesn't the vice president liaise and they cast the tying vote in the Congress? So I would just think that's sort of how it works, but I don't know. I don't think you're supposed to like liaise and tell grown adults how to do their job, but it would just seemingly make sense that that's normally how it works. Normally, if you have a coherent presidency, it's salvageable. How salvageable is it? And then why, what are we actually talking about still? Man, my lungs are going to collapse by the end of this term, though. I tell you what. I don't want to have to be a tough guy, right? I'd rather talk about philosophy with you guys personally. I don't know. I'd like to still keep doing this politics streaming stuff with you guys, with everyone, because so what's the reason, right? Because if I'm working and I eventually end up getting a paycheck in, it's like, cool, I don't need to stream, and that means someone else can stream. Someone else can stream and make money off streaming if I'm not. But I want to talk about politics still. I want to be able to talk about things I don't know about, maybe. Jev detected. I don't know what that means, Sean Baird. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. I tried talking philosophy with you and you called me a Nazi. I'm sorry, Joe. I didn't mean that. I apologize. I did probably overreact. I did, right? The person up here on my side, me, can't do any wrong again. No, but yeah. So the reason, if you want an explanation, the explanation that I would offer you and everyone else that's here as well, the thing I would say is that I was maybe triggered. I have been so sick and tired of hearing coded arguments for Christian nationalism as justifications to do massive harm around the world. And so part of this is that if we're sharing political opinions that impact other people's lives, we're not allowed to smuggle in or sneak in things that are unaddressable, right? It's not fair. And so maybe I shouldn't have used an ad hom, but also the other side of this is if you're preaching about religion to do something that it doesn't do, I want to be able to call that out in the way that I find appropriate, right? And maybe the best way. So if you think there's a better way for us to have that discussion, like nothing else changes in reality, but that does get passed to you. That does get passed to you, because bring that back here to me. I'm not going to, and I will cry if I hurt someone's feelings. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But what I won't I won't ever say that something that is important to someone else isn't also important to me. So finding a way to drop that sort of side of the conversation is hugely important. I think you'd find, Joe, that if we both found that we just picked the one important thing out that maybe we could talk about without insulting or trying to, or even completely accidentally tricking someone, we would both perhaps find that that conversation we have is actually more productive because it's about the things we set out to talk about in the first place. In the first place. How do you like your new job? Hey, what's up? Fantastic. Did you go away for a while? It's good to see you. I like my new job. It's really hard. So I took a long time off of work. Not to play with money and be rich, but to get rid of it all. Actually, to do the things in life I had to do and to get rid of whatever money I had. All of it's gone. Everything's gone. This nice studio, this nice microphone. I'm very gracious and so lucky, just so lucky to have them. So I'm excited to be back at work. I got the crap kicked out of me today. I'm doing phone stuff. I'm on the phone with people. And so it's not as hard as people who are doing hard jobs and have done hard jobs for a long time. But it is a very hard sales job. It is not a cushy sales job. It's not a scam. It's not a scam job. It's not like a fake call center. I'm not selling like high ticket coaching or something like this that I don't really know. I'm sure some of those are really good programs, but yeah, I'm selling software. It's just very hard. It is a very hard software sales job. Phone work can be rough. Yeah. And so I'm at the point, if you've done anything on the phones before, I'm at the point where I'm just trying to find the ability to sit down for like 90 minutes. If I can get 90 minutes of work in and then take a short break, get another hour or 45 minutes, 90 minutes in, if I can get to the point where I can have a productive working 2 hours of work, then like, no offense, but like as like a sales bro athlete, it's like, okay, well, this means I can either do a lot of good stuff for my company today, my actual company, my boss, their people. I can do good stuff for the company. Who knows? I might have a better commission check, but the company gets a lot of value out of this. And then it's also, if I can get a lot of work done, that also means some days I'll have the option of like, hey, we had a really good week, so I'm going to work a couple hours just here, and then I have to take off now. I'm just going to be out of the office. And so building that trust and getting sort of that line of sight on the company's goals and my role in that, I want to get to that point. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, pacing yourself is huge. That's something businesses don't do that well. Hey, what's up, Lifter Dave? America was based on Christianity. That's just not true. That's not factual in any way. So good on you for suggesting that. But, George Washington lost to the French in a battle in the United States. And so you have this event that paints this guy as the loser. It's this loss he never forgets. It has nothing to do with Christianity. It has everything to do with the people and geography and his ability to lead. And you tell me that the United States and our first president is based on Christianity, not this formative event that's about the world that this guy lives in. You could learn everything you need to know about being a president by losing one battle. If you're smart, you can, right? Anyone could do that. You could command and lead a group of people. You could take everything in and back or whatever, however it is. And if you lost one battle in your head, you could know enough to be a president, to be compassionate toward the president. Maybe not any of Trump's policies, maybe not any of the people that he wants you to look up to in admiration or awe. Absolutely not. Tom Homan isn't a nice guy when he's running ICE. He's a lawyer. He's meant to circumvent the law. Don't lie to me. He's meant to hire this force that commits violence against people. So anyways, America was not based on Christianity. I think just looking at George Washington proves it. And Lifter Dave, I think that we could go way deeper on that topic sometime, but why do you place your hand on the Bible, on the barbell? I place my hands, I think you can relax your shoulders and Yeah, if you want, you can get a little tension in your back, but it's about feeling not just where your body creates tension, but where it's supposed to be. And so this is the mistake a lot of lifters make, Dave, is per your question is if I, I want to first check my chin. And if I'm just working on form and stuff, when I check my chin, I shouldn't be all the way down. I shouldn't be looking at backwards at my butt. I should be, if you look at my neck, is that good enough, Dave? Is that good enough, Dave? Is that good enough, Dave? Yeah, so if I'm looking at my Dave, hey Dave, hey Dave. No, but if I'm my chin, if I place my hand on my chin, I shouldn't be looking at my butt, but I should be going about straight out or just a little bit down to check my form. Keep, my back and my spine and everything. I'm not going all the way up. So when I lift a barbell, I don't pick up Bibles. I can Google Bible verses. If you want to talk about evangelical Christianity or Roman Catholicism, we can do that too. I'm a Baptist. I'm a Protestant. I don't care. What do you mean? What do you actually mean? So I put my hands on the bar and just, check your form, that right amount of tension. And 60 pounds on the bar, just being able to hold tension where it's supposed to be. This can be a very cathartic type of lifting style for people. Really, really, I'm dead serious. Sometimes your body just wants not a clear out day, not cardio, not lightweight, not a day to take off from eating 3,500 calories clean or eating 5,000 calories or eating 1,000 or 1,500 calories, something reasonable, whatever, 2,000 calories. But yeah. Hello from Denmark to you too. If people vote for a president and he does something he promised he won't do you think people are responsible for that action? Do I think people are responsible for the lies of a president? Wow, that's too strong for me. What do your macros look like? I don't know. 4 potatoes, lentils. I'm a vegan, dude. I'm a vegan, not like I'm a vegan, dude. I'm a vegan, man. No, but just the foods I eat are typically lower calorie by their nature. And so some days I'll cook for myself restaurant style. I love olive oil. I love vegan butters and stuff. I love sauces and fake cheese and all that kind of stuff. So when I cook bad for myself, 100, like to me, 120 grams of protein is like a lot. Like that's a lot. Yeah. And so I used to work out for like honestly, for a while I was working out 15 or 20 hours a week. I know I don't look like it anymore, but that's what I used to do. I used to work out a bunch. You could see when I cut, I looked like a wild animal. I looked like a cat. I was fucking cut. Disgusting, dude. Yeah, I would bench. When I was lifting, I was benching 265. I was deadlifting a little over 400. So not like crazy strong, but I was also cutting weight at that time, right? So my form's not very good, but vegan is a really good diet, like Dave says. So yeah, you can accomplish your goals. I think people, you can think about it like the sniff test. The sniff test is like, if I eat more plant-based foods, what happens if I buy a full grocery cart? If I fill up my grocery cart for a week worth of food, I fill up the whole thing and I'm thinking about it with vegan food. Does something bad happen? No, not really. Like there's very few people on earth that are going to lose muscle because of that, right? You're going to poop your head off. You're going to poop your brains out 20 hours a week. Yeah. I could theoretically run to the gym, right? I would wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee. Because I wasn't working, so I could run to the gym. That was 2.5 miles. I could work out for 2 hours and then I would run back. Yeah. Or walk back. And so when you start adding up the time it takes for you to commute, that's 20 hours, right? I think I did that right. 2 hours at the gym, 7 days a week. It's 14 hours. And then, just figure half an hour to, an hour, but that's walking. So 20 hours a week. Yeah. Vegan's horrible, right? No, I was like a vegan David Goggins, way less intense than David, way different goals maybe, but I was pretty goal driven. Like I'm I think I would be in awe if I met actual David Goggins or some of these endurance athletes, people like you that are really strong or you like that kind of stuff. Cool. But, you're interested in it. To me, as a vegan, I would love to talk to someone like Jocko or David Goggins, the guys that have put 40 pounds on their body and said, I'm going to go 48 hours like this, right? And like you could tell them this is what it is. This is just what it is that you're going to go do. And so wrap your mental state around what that is and go do it. That's crazy. That's really crazy stuff. It's so impressive, And so when you can walk away from those types of events better than you were before, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Someone tells you to put a backpack on for 48 hours and go do all this stuff. That's crazy, man. So go do it. Try it out. Seriously, if you want to try being vegan, cool. If not, just go do something else. It's not a big deal, right? This isn't a fitness stream. It's truthfully, even if you don't like it, it's just supposed to be politics, chill, hanging out. I wanted to talk about the Iraq war a little bit, or the fake Iran war that Donald Trump is trying to really do. Stuff's all BS, guys. Yeah, President Trudeau, President Pmert, President Don Bumby Bumbleson. I don't know what he's waiting for. Turkey man. Yeah, overtraining. When you overtrain, your brain gets dead. You get brain dead, right? Maybe something else happens, right? A beautiful flower comes out of the graveyard or something, but yeah, it's very easy if you're new to doing like endurance or extended training periods, you can easily cash out in a couple hours, 3 hours of because most people say they go to the gym for 2 hours, but you're not working for 2 hours. That's the difference. Is if you go to the gym and you say, I'm going to work for 45 minutes or work for 2 hours, and you're actually able to this is the difference. You're actually able to put your body in a position and exert a force, as boring and as stupid as that sounds, and go do that for 2 hours. Leave your house. Don't come back till you come back. Leave your house. You're not done until you're done. So leave your house, go out for 2 hours, come back, and do that every day. And when you're back home, just consider you're going to be doing the same thing. Don't drink alcohol. Don't smoke cigarettes. Smoke a vape. Do productive things. Take in interesting information. Be curious. Leave your house, come back in 2 hours. Don't be out for 8 hours. Don't be out for 12 hours doing things like drinking. But yeah, I'm sorry. Hey, what's up, JD Tux? I keep skipping over. So Donald Trump is probably waiting for some undeniable sign that he can show the international community that Iran is not willing to work with the West at all. I don't know. I could only speculate, to be honest. If we're speculating and we're saying, well, what could this guy be waiting for? Maybe he's trying to cut bargains or deals with European leaders, with Chinese leaders, with Russia. He's trying to establish some sort of backtrack that both pushes away foreign pressure, is what I would just generally think that is, right? Because if you believe you can act unilaterally, the only reason you can't do that and do whatever you want right now is because someone else is going to stop you. It's worse if you do that. So if it's 1 degree worse, theoretically, you shouldn't. Theoretically, it's way more difficult to justify that type of decision. Almost impossible, actually. Maybe it's the thing you should go do, but it's almost impossible to actually justify that from the will of the people. If you're a president, why precisely is are you sure we need to do that? And tell me, are you sure we need to do that? And who does it? Who does it, right? But I think Trump's waiting to attack. If Trump's waiting to attack Iran, I'm pretty sure he's trying to set a very immature, childish mousetrap. Just like he did with Venezuela. He said, well, I can say you're a criminal and I can, put your name on a jail cell, and 1 million people from the United States are going to believe whatever lie I tell about you and your country. They're going to believe any lie, and then I can tell a second lie that we're going to buy oil or make this place a better place, and it's just like that. It's so easy. And so if you are a president, you're the president and you're looking at this, I would at least start and just say, China's not going to attack us back. Russia's not going to attack us back. No one's going to try to, restart restart the idea of a global jihad, even though there was never a practical reality of a global jihad. It didn't exist. That's what everyone says now, and everyone actually believes. There was never a global jihad, actually. But there's all these reasons why Trump shouldn't attack Iran. And so if he just says, well, they wouldn't work with us and we warned them and they did these small things, Iran's basically signaling that they believe the United States doesn't have a good reason to take further action and that the world sees it that way. That's what we might think that these drones buzzing U.S. ships are. Yeah. Iran saying we're way more justified flying our paper airplanes next to your big ass boats, right? We're not launching Iranian SEAL teams. We're not launching special forces to go, take down your radar systems and do demolition missions on your boats. That's not what Iran's doing right now. They haven't done that because they haven't done that. Did they plan 9/11? No, no one said that in the past either. So, and so Donald Trump might just be saying this is some broader campaign he's a part of. I don't know. I'm blabbering. Max or do Bronx for the BMF? Does that mean bad, motherfucker? No, I don't know what that means. Jay Bin Crippen. What does that mean? I think Jay Bin Crippen means that Jay learned how to hustle. I don't know if Jay's actually been Crippen. I don't know if Jay's been Crippen. But here's the thing. This is because it's Black History Month, so happy Black History Month. I think that's okay to say. But yeah, what Webb Dubois would probably say is that, well, yeah, when we looked at, so Webb Dubois also talked crap about the poor Negroes, right? The poor Black African Americans. And so Webb Dubois might encourage us to look at what it means to have been Crippen and say, well, look, these guys learned how to hustle backwards from the people who themselves, the drug dealers that are hustling backwards. So the richest guy that the richest guy on your block, whoever that is, has $1 million, but he's going to go to jail for 90 years. And there's a guy on a different block who has $10 million, right? And so the dumb people following the dumb guy who aren't just trying to have a Friday, they are being fed lies from the person who's lying to themselves. This is just like the antebellum South. This is just like the slavers. And it's just like the patriarchs of the antebellum South. It's just like the politicians back then who would say, yeah, you don't go out and talk about how not racist you are, how racist you are. You leave this business to the big bad men like me. You go out and do your job. And when you're curious and you have a question, ask away. More than happy to answer. That's the answer. You got the sniffles. Hey, what's up, Illegal? How are you? Why don't you just come up with some solutions instead of just, hey, what up, Marilyn? Hey, Marilyn, do you mind banning illegal gardening real quick? Here. Bam. I see Marilyn around all the time. You're a special mod, Marilyn. You have the special wrench. Do you want to ban illegal gardening forever if you're still here? Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, don't do drugs, right? You too. Aw, shucks. Yeah, whatever. We're all hanging out now. Oh, dang. Dang, dude. Hey, illegal gardening. Okay, how about this? So you tell me, I think I have a nicotine stick here. I'm so sorry, YouTube. No, but I think I got this. Why don't you tell us what we're talking about today? Why don't you tell us what we're talking about? It can be anything. What a little salty girl you are. Well, isn't that Orwellian? Isn't that absurd and Orwellian? Isn't that quite Orwellian? Are you a cybernetic? Are we all cybernetics? You like the guy from Bikes and Beards? I haven't seen it. Is it actual bikes? I love riding bikes. Bam, bam, bam. Are they motors? Oh, they're motorcycles. Cool. Vlog of SRK cycles. A few Christian guys. Cool. Yeah, it sounds very like a cultural critique. That's awesome. We ride motorcycles. We're cool Christian dudes. So we like the Bible. We talk about the Bible. That's awesome. Good for you guys. Are you guys now, if you go to the true evangelical circles or the true atheist circles, they'll tell you the same thing. Well, are you reading your Bible like you actually should be? Are you spreading what Christianity actually is? If you're not talking about the sort of revealing, maybe mystic reality that also slaps you in the face sometimes, you're not talking about Christianity. You're also not talking about just what reality and phenomenal reality actually is like. So cool. I don't know Bikes and Beards YouTube, but good for those guys. Good for them. You don't wish more Christians studied history and realized Christianity began as an obscure Jewish cult? Yeah, so I mean, as a political science guy, the way I interpret Christianity is that what Rome was a bureaucracy, right? Rome was a bureaucracy. It was also somewhere between authoritarian and autocratic in modern terms, but it was a bureaucracy in a lot of ways. And so Christianity was probably, if you were already asking, well, what are the important Jewish cultural centers and where are they in the political process? You're probably seeing this movement arise as a response to socio-political pressures too, right? It has to be a little bit about that, has to solve for that, has to answer about that. And so, yeah, maybe a good reason to be sympathetic or not sympathetic. Yeah, you don't have to be sympathetic yourself. That's your freedom and choice too. And so I think if you're looking for your own platform, if you want your own platform and you've maybe thought about it, let's just say you've thought about it, you've considered it, someone that might be like interested in learning more about motorcycles, about cop stuff, about Christianity. Cool, good for you. There's also atheists. There's like really true, honest to goodness atheists that set up their own sort of channels and stuff like that. So that's awesome. Hey, Dave, I believe in you, man. Dave, I believe in you. I think you need a little more knowledge. But who would I be to say that, right? Maybe you know something I don't know. So America is free due to the Second Amendment. Two-way stuff, I don't know. I always tell this story to people, and I'm just telling you that because I try to be honest. So I tell this story to people every time that my friend Alex Teves got killed in Aurora, Colorado in the Batman movie theater shooting. So I was actually, because we're on YouTube, I was getting a beer with Alex 6 months before he got shot. 6 months before he was taking his girlfriend to go see the Batman premiere or dragging her along or whatever it was. They were going together to see this movie, at midnight. And, and 6 months before that, me and Alex were getting a beer. We got a beer at a tap house. We shared a giant pizza cookie. Maybe we shared nachos or pizza, but we definitely had beer together. And and so when you talk about the two-way, I think people that are adamant about the capability of firearms to keep people safe are adamant about what a firearm is. And so when you say, well, this is the Constitution and this is law, why is that? Why do we have this law in the first place? Maybe I thought about it. Maybe you thought about it as much as I have, and you will always be that way, but I'll always be this way, as it turns out. Ain't that a surprising turn of things? Is that a turnip? What is it? Stolen valor? I don't know. Who are you? Who would you want to be? What would you become? And why is that relevant? So when you say two-way, I don't think this is my fifis. I think it's saying that I've thought about it, and the fact that we allow private citizens to own any firearm they want, and this has been true for 300 years. You can buy a tank if you want. right? You can make the decision that I'm going to, if I'm a millionaire, I can say I'm going to have a $50,000 firepower rig. That doesn't make any sense. That's absurd. What, like, you don't know what that is? No, you don't. That's stupid. It's always been stupid, right? Give me, like, if like someone in government should be saying to those people, give me those back, right? Give me those. We waste money on those. We don't want to waste money on those, but we do waste money on those. As it turns out, give me them back. You're here for me, give it back to me. I don't want you to be here for me. Not even a little bit. No new wars. Let's go, baby. No illegal wars, no new wars, no crying mothers, no crying fathers, no random shots fired, no ops for no reason. None of this stuff, guys. Together, no ops. We actually discover and find a new way. We find a new way to work together. We talk about the problems that we've been facing forever, not when they're convenient or not because your feelings tells you it's time, but because for some reason it's just time. That's what peace is, guys. And if you're going to battle for that kind of stuff, I am here for you. Like and subscribe to the channel. I love that stuff. I told you guys, I'm a sponge for politics. I'm a sponge for nonviolence. I'm a sponge for discussions. How can we support when we are being supported? Ryzen, you're good, man. You're a good person, whoever you are. Doesn't Second Amendment say a well-regulated militia? Why? I hope you're not even asking me, right? Put that sort of faith and trust in yourself. When you have a question about something or you're passionate about something, this is the best thing a YouTube life mentor someplace else is going to do for you is say, spend 5 or 15 seconds of your day tomorrow, right? That's not too much pressure for people, for anyone. Everyone, I was so stressed earlier this week, I was almost shaking because I'm starting a new job. I'm just like that. You might not tell on the outside, but I was literally like almost shaking. I had so much anxiety from my job. That's fine. That's totally fine for me. But if you ask, how do we support when we're being supported? It's never too much pressure to, I think, recommend to a close friend, someone you actually know, or like if someone just asks you that, it's like, yeah, spend 15 seconds on something you think is cool or you're passionate about. Make a hard choice for 15 seconds. Make a hard choice, make an interesting choice for 5, 10, 15 seconds and go do something you normally wouldn't do, right? Update your algorithm, update your bookmarks on your browser. If you do the same Google searches all the time, do different Google searches, right? Spend 15 seconds a day doing that stuff. None of this 1% mindset where you want to be a billionaire or a millionaire by 30. That's bullshit. I've met millionaires. I've worked with them. I'll tell you what, those guys are a dime a dozen. They're fucking cheap. Sorry, pardon my French. Somebody loves them, but I'm saying Jesus supports. When I look in the mirror, and that's not who my inner man, spirit man, I'm saying Jesus supports. Cool. Yeah, you seem like a true Christian. Not that it would be my job to tell you what a true Christian is, but as an atheist, as a former Catholic, as someone who's been aware, go on YouTube. There's pornographers. There are misogynists. There's patricide. There's absolute disgusting things. People telling you what your religion is. True worshipers worship the Father in spirit and in truth. I hope so. Yeah, but as an atheist, you also can just ask a question and learn and do something. What's wrong with millionaires? Nothing's wrong with millionaires. I didn't say there's anything wrong with millionaires, but millionaires most often go do the same thing as everyone else. Some people work really ridiculously hard, but they work hard and as hard as, but here's the thing is, why are these people not billionaires or not philanthropists helping 10 million people right now? Well, it's because, everyone says they're going to do that. Everyone's an ethical capitalist. Everyone cares until it's time to care again, or care in a harder way or a new way or a self-sacrificial way. Until you realize that your values and the things you pursue may be something I have in common with Risen. No, I choose to be atheist about something, Risen or Risen. I choose to be atheist about a specific question. So when it comes to like my job, like when I'm working or I'm saying, well, is this company doing a good thing or something like that? or I look at a YouTube creator and I'm wondering, are they doing a good thing? I'm not all over the place. I'm talking to chat, web matrix. Sorry, if you want me to talk about something, just tell me this too. Yeah. But yeah, is atheist a belief system? Is it a belief system actually? No, I can choose to be atheist and say my morals aren't decided by the Bible. I know if I'm being authentic. I know if something is patently absurd or obvious. I know if something doesn't make sense now. And do I actually authentically believe it'll make sense someday? Really? In what world? In what sense will it make sense some way? So that's how I try to manage my own life. Do you believe the year you live in? I said this on a stream earlier because I'm a huge YouTube celebrity, guys. Every country and every person in the world is living in the same year. I hope you guys understand that. And why that makes sense is people in Iran, people in Venezuela, people in Colombia and Cuba, in Canada, my home country of the United States, and my home state of Arizona, mainland China, in Taiwan, Can you say that like me? Like me? China and Taiwan. I don't know. China and Taiwan. History and state. Okay, people. China and Taiwan. Can China and Taiwan, are they living in the year 2026? Yeah. Do they have the same internet websites as you do? Yeah. Do they both know what McDonald's is if they travel to Europe or the West? Yeah, absolutely. Do they know the difference between a hamburger and a French fry? Is there a difference? Yeah, they do know the difference. Do they see themselves as capable of being an agent of change? Some people probably do. Some people don't. Yeah. So that's all. What is the WEF? Whatever. I don't know. World Wildlife Foundation, World Economic Forum, JAWorks. Are you talking about Davos or Davos, whatever it was? I don't know. Let's see. World Economic Forum. Are we doing Hegelian history? No. Yuck. Hegelian works because it's fast for people. It's very fast to say, well, my phenomenology, my mind about this, but also what's happened in the past is what this thing is. No, that's an excuse to read bullet points, right? You're doing the same thing as John Locke. This is what I don't get and understand is, like, if I'm in the US and I'm doing the hard thing and I'm saying John Locke was a complete asshole, this guy was a piece of POS. And then people turn around and tell me that, well, we have this constructed history based on material becoming and Hegelian ideas and stuff. It's like, well, no, what you're telling me there is that you're an asshole too. You're telling me you don't have the time to understand this stuff. So just say this is what my opinion is. I've researched my opinion. Here's what it is. And it's not just that I've researched it, but these are the ways in which I've researched it. These are the things that I think are relevant. Most people don't do that. Most people say, I've researched this event, and now here's this Nazi shit. I've researched this. Here's this Nazi BS. I've researched this. Here's my Freudian psychology for you to hang on to. Here, guys, chat. Hang on to me for a little bit. I'm a political science major. You guys are the John Lockean idealist Hegelian people. Let me tell you what I want to accomplish, and you tell me where you fit in. I'm kind of curious where you guys fit into my big plans and my worldview. This is what I've researched about my own life and what I'm going to go do. You're allowed to do that. Believe in yourself. Truly believe in yourself. I want you to actually believe in yourself, right? And people shouldn't be forced to put too much on themselves, but to say that you're a totality of your beliefs and your worldview, and it's not just a little weird, is also crazy. Trump is a piece of doggy doo-doo or human doo-doo. Rumor has it Donald Trump pooped his pants in the Oval Office. Is that true? Is that true, Grover? Maybe. I don't know. No, I just want to know what the justification for Trump's policies are that someone else should see. Hey, son, how you going? I'm still brewing beer. Cool. Oh, hey, what's up, Greg? Hey, good to see you. That's cool. I used to work at a craft brewery in Arizona. So I worked at a craft brewery in Arizona. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, I was a huge alcoholic. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I used to love American and English. Oh man, I'll tell you, a very fun but dangerous time in my life was also when I discovered like the English old world style beers and stuff. Man, those were so good, dude. Yeah, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff. I loved like the smoother IPAs. I loved just the plain sort of like lower ABV pale ales, some of the Scottish ales, some of the like the more like darker malt stuff. But that's cool. Good luck with your beer, I guess. Good luck with your beer. I don't know if you regularly do that. Yeah, and if you're putting one of the caps on, just remember, hey, that duck guy told me when one of the caps goes on, that weird internet guy, I don't need to know who he was, but he told me he really liked like craft beer and bombers and stuff. I don't drink anymore. I didn't age well, so I'm 36 now, but it got to the point where if I had any alcohol at all, I would just like be tired the next day. I wouldn't wake up as ready to work. And so some people know that like that's cool sometimes, but you know, when you're in your 30s and you wake up and you're not really like feeling, you don't feel yourself, you don't feel productive until 10 or 11 o'clock. It's like, yeah, that's like a symptom of alcoholism, but that's also just not good, right? It's not good. It's both things. So, you know, I was a former Catholic. I was Roman Catholic web matrix. Theoretically bored. I theoretically also don't know my own views on much. No, I'm a progressive Democrat. I'm pretty open-minded. I'm a secular atheist. I'll debate stuff, but yeah, I'm proud that I'm a former Roman Catholic. I'm also proud that like I know a little bit about religion, not a ton. So progressive Democrat, atheist, not a leftist, pretty centrist in internet speak. Political science guy, philosophy dude. I like cultural stuff. I try to keep up with you guys. A lot of you guys will lose me on like how do we feel about stuff, right? We're not talking about our feelings, but how do you feel about it? A lot of you guys will lose me on a lot of that stuff. And so that's all of my views, right? I'm a vegan as well. I'm not trying to do coded vegan stuff, so I just tell people that I don't post vegan shorts. There are vegan streamers out there. Shout out Vegan Gains wherever he's at. He's my favorite. Yeah, he banned me from his Discord one time, but from the politics, his Discord chat room. But yeah, I'm also vegan, so I'm really against like exploitation. Yeah, and I believe that we can do those things and still have discourse with each other. So now who's not living in 2026? It sounds like you want to, yeah, heck yeah, I do. So if I could just ask you, if we could go back to the 1800s and redo how we just built cities, how we deployed technology, like wouldn't we look at even things like community churches and say, yeah, some of these guys got to go back further or update stuff. Like some of this stuff just isn't quite right. Wouldn't we kind of pick the big issues and without telling people how to live their lives and keeping government small, because government's always small, wouldn't we, I don't know. Last leftist. I don't know. It came up the other day that in the 60s, like I always forget that like Noam Chomsky was an anarchist writer. So Chomsky was an academic linguist. So this area that's very close to like neuropsychology, actual like neurophysiology and philosophy, but it's linguistics. But he was also an anarchist sort of political theorist, right? An anarchist historian to some extent. You know, he talked about what people are like in a society. And so that idea in the 1960s that you could vote and be an anarchist, that's a cool idea. But the last actual leftist, right? The last actual leftist and not utopian, when you're talking about the perfect world, a utopian political thinker. You know, Carter was in the Air Force, I believe, if I remember that correctly. He was Air Force or Navy. So that guy was he was a president of peace, and he was a real sociopath too. That guy was a nut job. Respect to President Carter. Yeah, I think AOC was very bold putting forward the Green New Deal. I don't understand it all the way, but I think my immature opinion is she put it out there to see what people would say, and she put it out there to fail. She put it out there embarrassingly willing to risk her entire political career on the Green New Deal. Really difficult to see why she wouldn't be opposed at every turn after putting this out. And so to me, someone who stands up for the ecology, I think is very good. And yeah, the other leftist politics, I've heard about democratic socialist communists, basically. Communist democratic socialists operating in small scales in places like India. India still works in places on things like democratic norms like voting or representation. There's a lot of people who say, let's just go to the direct democracy type questions. Whatever. Have fun. Stay out of my life. But feel free to try, right? If I'm not working on that, feel free to try. I'm more than happy to vote in another Pete Buttigieg. I'm more than happy to vote for Cory Booker. I'm more than happy to have these guys completely shave off all of the legislative time from these left-wing lunatics like Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani. I love you guys. I love you to death. I'd go to war with you guys, but not like this and not here. So hope that's good enough. I'd go to war with you guys because I don't have another way of saying that. If you're responding to a comment, can you read it first? This was, hey, sorry, that was seriously bored. That was seriously bored said here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Ugly streaming tactic. Are we going to war? No, I was just talking that I would go to war for the people themselves, not for any reason, but for people like Bernie Sanders and AOC. Even though I'm not a leftist, I'm I have no particular reason or draw that I personally would vote for democratic socialist policies. I wouldn't even say if they're the best idea. I'm ideologically slightly opposed to it, but I'd still go to freaking war for those people. But I am a Democrat though. We are going to war, right? That's the name of the stream too. Donald Trump is threatening Iran with war. That's the scariest news that I've seen in Donald Trump's full term. So I'm sorry. Let me see if I can do something. Hey, what's up, Ashu? The U.S. is creating wars everywhere. Trump got an IMF loan for Pakistan and then sold them F-35s. I hope Americans remember that Pakistan gave shelter to Osama bin Laden, who did 9/11 attacks. Yeah. Those F-35s are going to be worth $0. So yeah, if Donald Trump wants to do all that kind of stuff, he's allowed to. He's allowed to. I'm going to try something. All right, guys. Hold on. If you guys want to go hang out for a little bit, I'm going to go to my buddy's channel now. I just unlocked because some of you guys subscribed. So sorry, I know some of you guys just got here, but hell yeah, war is peace. Trump pisses on my head and tells me it's raiding. You're too innocent. Yeah, I'm sorry. Whoops. So I'm going to go right over to my buddy's house, I think. My buddy's chat. It's a debate channel. If you guys want to come with, that's cool. You guys can post duck emojis in the chat. I haven't done this before, but yeah, and then dip out or something if you guys don't like it. But they're smart people, nice people, interested people. We're kind of doing similar content and stuff. And it's weird you wouldn't see that. I'm so sorry to say that I don't agree totally. Yeah, I think Trump is responding to a geopolitical reality. It's a disgusting way to do it, but I do think it's out there. Yeah, and so I'm gonna rate us over. I'm gonna rate us over to this stream. I think I'm gonna try to do it. I'll see if it works. And yeah, if I'll be in chat, I might go up on stage. You guys can go up. It's an open panel too. So come hang out for a little bit. And yeah, hopefully I see some of you guys back. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, Marilyn, so much for being here. The super mod now. It doesn't mean anything, but you are the super mod of the Duck channel. Hey, you too. Take care.